Hey everyone!
Hello there.
Let's see, Tyree.
You up there?
I'm back.
We live. We'll wait for Jason. Jason might be having some difficulties, but I thought we would start.
Okay.
So, guys, welcome to our last edition of the Autism Parent Town Hall. And I think this is going to be one of my most special town halls because I think that in this journey of parenting autism, I think we always forget the father's voices at the table. There has been this narrative that moms are the only ones that are advocating for children on the autism spectrum. And that's not true. And so I'm bringing up these amazing fathers that some of you may or may not know. And if you don't know, I'm going to need you guys to follow them because they bring something different to the table and they bring things in a real perspective, raw and uncut. And I think that, with further ado, I will let them introduce themselves. I'm going to start with Christian. Tell us about yourself and a little bit of your journey and, kick it off.
Good evening, everybody. I'm just trying to figure out how to get this camera right so y'all can actually see me a little bit. That seems to be a little bit better. Good evening, everybody. My name's Christian White, 41 years old. I'm the primary caretaker of my son, Little Christian, who's on the spectrum. He was diagnosed with PDD NOS, pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified. He's on an IEP. In so many ways, it's been tremendously helpful. Now, his and I journey started a little bit differently. So he was born while I was in prison. I was sentenced to 10 years for possession of a firearm. I served just about 9 years. So he was born about 3.5 weeks after I was arrested. And I saw him a few times when he was younger, twice when he was 10 days old, 14 days old. And then I saw him twice when he was 2 years old. And the next time I saw him, he was turning 9. And so what was interesting for me was the first time I had heard anything about autism at all, honestly, was when I got a letter from Chris's doctors that his mom had sent me saying that he had been diagnosed. And this was at about age, he was almost 4, I think. And she had noticed, so, first of all, anything prior to 8.5 years, his mom gets all the credit because I literally was not there. And in a very strange way, I'm actually glad I wasn't, because I know initially I would have been one of those dads that just said, this is a phase, get over it. I wouldn't have, I had no understanding of it, wasn't even trying to consider being understanding of it. So I'm certain that I probably would have made some very costly mistakes. Once I was in prison and I had that time to kind of reflect and, because I played the blame game. Did I do this? Is my sperm messed up? You know what I mean? You start questioning whether you should ever get another woman pregnant. A lot will go through your head. Because the last thing you want to do is feel like you're actually hurting people. And so, with that said, I come home, and the one thing that I didn't know was, what kind of dad would I be? And I told myself the way that I would, I guess, father a parent was, I would initially learn him 100%. He's almost 9. He's his own person right now. Like, he needs to teach me about himself. I can't tell him about him at all. And so I made the decision because, so often, and especially when I saw guys doing a long time in prison, they tended to go home and they treated their household like the CO treated the cell block. It was in very predictable ways. And I started understanding that a lot of these ways were not conducive to just life growing. Forget anything else. Just not, conducive to life at all. And so I told myself, and in the backdrop of all this, there's me working on my own mental health, because that's sort of my pride and joy issue. It was my personal journey as far as, I still got a long way to go, but, dealing with the mental health and the traumas and generational traumas, that's what got me to, being able to talk like this right now. So in the backdrop of me trying to figure out what being a dad's going to be like, I'm dealing with my own mental health.
Mm.
It's only because of that am I actually open enough to be open to my son being who he wants to be, who he is, whatever the case may be. Just being 100% open to accepting. And that's hard to do. And so eventually, because it started off, he would only be willing to spend about a half hour with me. Then it went into an hour, then it went into a few hours. Then, we could go out to eat. But slowly but surely, it began to build. And in all this time, I let him do what I felt like was his most natural thing to do. No judgment, total acceptance, because I knew that before I could be a dad at all, he had to accept me as his father.
That's right.
And I mean, besides all that, I mean, I could be paying child support. I could be doing a million other things to show that I'm there. But, I want to be in his life physically. Like, I want to be there.
Love that.
And so time goes on. We begin to build a great relationship. And then, so all this time, he's living in Georgia. And so I'm driving to Georgia once or twice a month to go see him. And I had a lot of flexibility in my work schedule because I worked in the restaurant and I was a waiter. So I could if I could get someone to cover my shift on the front and back end, I could have a long 3 days, make the trip, come back up. And so I visited him once, sometimes twice a month. And in December of 2017, I went down there to pick him up for Christmas vacation. And when we got back up, his mom texted me and just told me she was like just really tired and to keep him. And so, that hit me like I can't even explain, because I had no clue what it meant to be the primary caretaker. And in a lot of ways, even though it can be difficult at times, being the secondary parent is a lot easier compared to being the primary caretaker. I'm figuring that out. Just in little ways. Like, I tell people all the time, like, I didn't know how much my laundry bill was going to go up each week. Very, very, very like small things that I had no clue of. Like, now it's hitting me fast. I need to learn fast. And so one of the ways I did that is I kind of I had a network. I reached out to them, like all of a sudden within a few days, I know what it's like to try to find a babysitter so I can get to work. And like everything came at one time. Everything came at one time. And what was interesting is I was talking with a friend of mine, and he was kind of just like, you kind of gotta just go with it. You gotta be open, but you gotta go with it. Because I kept judging myself because I wasn't there for so many years. But then I started realizing everybody's winging it. It doesn't matter where you are. We're all winging it right now. trying to do the best we can do. I mean, unless you just have, if you're fortunate enough to have resources to where this is leisure time for you, all the power to you. I wish I could be in that boat, but I'm not. But but this has been a hard. So and I want to be able to let Tyree speak, but I think what I want to really talk about tonight is just the fact that several key points. One, for men, it's so important that you're on your child's birth certificate, because otherwise you don't have a say in a lot of the things that they may be involved in, IEPs to medical decisions, all the way up. And you want to be involved in that process. And I also, I also highlight, I think a part of the journey that was pivotal, and where me and my son kind of had a break in sort of a wall that was between us. And I'm looking forward to sharing that story a little later as well. But thank you. Like I said, thank you. This is an honor.
But you know what? You kicked it off right. And so
Yeah.
you hit it. You got a lot that we need to unpack. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna turn it over to T. And T, tell us a little bit about you. Share, some of your story, and what does it feel like to be a father of autism?
Oh yeah, Tyree Govan. I'm 41. Um, I feel like he did at first. Who did it? Is it me? What did I do? Is it her? Is it, who did it? Who gave her autism? Like, why is it so?
Yeah.
But I do remember it was 2000 and I think 8. A friend of mine was dating a woman. Autism just started popping up, and
Mm.
me being dumbfounded, I was like, why does Octo Mom want to keep having babies? So he had a girlfriend with a kid with autism that didn't speak, and he'd go out the house and he'd run around the neighborhood in Connecticut, and the neighborhood knew him. And I got a little bit of understanding. And then when I had my daughter, I remember calling Jahida. I said, Jahida, my daughter has mild autism. What am I supposed to do? They know I had to go to all the programs, and I've been to all of them. I've been to every one. I forget the first BCIs and all those things, and I've been there since she was born. And at first, I was like Christian again. Oh, come on, she can fix it. She's fine. She understands.
Mhm.
And then realize she doesn't understand. And then you gotta kind of grow with her. You learn what she likes. You learn the dislikes. You learn how to deal with certain situations. You get the weighted blanket. You learn how to hug tightly.
Mhm.
You learn about how they like touching things and sensory issues. And I mean, it's a crazy ride. Like now she's 5, and she's here now. She said her mother goes, "You're gonna stay at Daddy's house?" She goes, "Yeah." "You're gonna call Daddy?" "I don't have to call him." I'm like, wait a minute. So she's really smart. So that's the thing we forget, that these kids with autism are very intelligent. You know,
Mm.
I, in my journey, I think it was a family thing where they felt like, oh, Ariana's not going to the bathroom yet. Ariana's not doing this. They're not faster than
Mhm.
this one. She's not faster than this one. But I mean,
Mhm.
at the end of it all, she was faster than everybody. She learned very fast.
Yep.
I mean, she had to learn at her own pace. I wasn't going to rush it because everybody put her in a challenge to,
Mhm.
deal with other children who are going potty first and who are talking first and things like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's definitely hard. It's definitely hard because then she can be happy now and then have a breakdown 5 minutes from now. And then, I mean, I love her because she understands. She go, "Daddy, I need a hug. I need you to hold me," and things
Mhm.
like that. But I mean, when she was little, it was just so unbelievable. I didn't believe it for a long time. I was like, no, she'll be fine. No,
Mhm.
no, it's all babies do this. She's
Mhm.
no, all babies go through this, and she'll grow out of it. And I felt the same way. I felt like, who did it? Whose family did it come from? Is it my mother? Is it my father? Is it your mother? Like it gotta come from somewhere. And I felt like him where he goes, man, I don't want to have no. I might get myself fixed. I don't want to have no more. Doing this to children. You get afraid, and the thing is, you know, like he said, you just gotta roll with it. You learn as you go. You learn every day. It's something new, and you just learn. You see what they like, and you gotta be a part of what they like, and then like I said, you grow with them. It's fun though. For me, it's fun. You know why? She's always doing different stuff, so it's cool for me. The way she talks, the way she acts, she has a personality. I'm just like, man. Sometimes she can act ratchet. I'm like, what do you guys got her watching? Because she's a sponge, and I'm just like, man, why is she so funny?
Yep.
So it's a joy, man. It's a joy. I mean, I know growing up at first, her mother used to take a lot of offense because people didn't understand,
Mm.
and they would yell at her, and she, whoa, 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 slow down. My daughter has autism. If you don't understand, and the thing. But like I said, it's a journey. It was fun though. It's still fun. I mean, she's only 5, so I still got a long way to go. But it's still fun. I mean, it's a learning process. It's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy her. I mean, don't get me wrong. I got a queen size bed, and I swear I'm on a twin because she has to be under me when she's sleeping. So she pushes me to the edge of the bed. It's the funniest thing. But you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's a wonderful journey, man. I mean, like he said, being a father. I mean, I'm not a. I mean, she still has a mother. I just live alone, but you know, but him even saying he's just a father to a child with autism, by just being a father, period, to a child with autism and spending 24 hours and
Yeah.
48 hours and 72 hours. I mean, you learn as you go. Like I said, 1 minute you might have the funnest kid in the world, and the next minute it comes a breakdown. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and she starts yelling, and you don't know what to do. You're like, oh man, she's yelling. I'm gonna call your mother. I don't know what to do. And I think the BCI taught us say no, thank you. That is the worst. I don't know who made that up. That is the worst thing to tell this kid. I say, Adi, no, thank you. She screams, and it's like I cursed at her. I don't know what I did, and I'm like, oh man, okay, Adi, you want a hug? Let's hug. Let's
Right.
play this game and color in the coloring book. But it's the journey. It's an awesome journey. It's fun. If you enjoy your kid, you know, and your kid has autism, you'll enjoy the journey. You'll enjoy the different, you know, steps that they take in life through the months, through the weeks, through the years as they get older, and you just start seeing different things. You're like, wow, you know. So I think it's awesome to be a father to a child with something I never understood. Like I said, I was like, well, yeah, why does Octo Mom want to have more kids? And I realized Octo Mom didn't want more kids. This is a real situation. And
It
I've
is.
always watched other kids with it, but now I watch my own and I go, you
Mm-hmm.
know, this is kind of cool. It's not like you think in your head it's a retardation. So you're like, oh man, you know, but then when you see it's not, you're like, wow, she just said this today. She colors, she writes her name. I'm like, wow, this is, and then the kids that she was in a race with, they don't even write their name yet. And
Yep.
I'm saying, like, wait a minute, they had my kid in the race with all these other kids her age, and they don't write. Some of them don't go to the bathroom by themselves, and I'm like, my daughter does all that stuff,
This is real.
and she does all that for a Skittle. A Skittle.
So
Adi, go to the bathroom. I give you a Skittle. Zoom, she flies in there. So it's a blessing. It's definitely a blessing.
So I have some questions, right? So you guys have been to IEP meetings, right?
I haven't.
So
Mm-hmm. All right.
you've probably been to a developmental specialist appointment, right?
Mm.
When you went with the doctor. All right. So let's start, Christian. Have you been to your child's IEP meeting?
Several. Yep.
Yeah. So can you talk to us a little bit about how did that feel being a man in that space and being and being the voice of your child in navigating special education and advocating for your child's academic needs to be successful?
Well, honestly, it felt really good,
Mm,
and I think part of the process for me is I enjoyed being able to make good decisions for him. Like that was like that's something that is important to me as being a parent, is knowing I make a good choice. But I think by the time I was in my first IEP meeting, I was already a little comfortable. I had attended a few of them with his mom when they lived up here previously,
mm,
prior to them moving to Georgia. So I had an idea of what it was like, but it's different in every district too. So
mm,
I mean, so he was in Norwood Public Schools at this time. Now he's in Framingham Public Schools, and I feel welcomed. I felt welcomed from the start. There was some of that look in some of the women's, because most of the women the teachers were women, and then all the assessment people and all that. Now that I think about it, I don't know if Chris has one male specialist. Yeah, he doesn't. Now that I think about that, wow. Um,
mhm,
Wow.
it just hit me that, and but what I found is there was that quick moment where it was like a little skepticism or disbelief, like this is a dad here by himself. There
mhm.
was sort of that, but I mean, I was inquisitive. I asked a bunch of questions. That first IEP meeting I did on my own probably took like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Everybody was pissed off, but we came to some understandings.
Mhm. Yeah, and one of our comments says it seems like education it's really a female dominated space, And I have to say that I agree, because a lot of our teachers and a lot of our service providers, ABA providers, at least to me and my children, when we were navigating those services, the ABA, the OT, the speech pathologists, all of them were women. So it's interesting, because I'm like, where is the male, providers, to connect with those kids with autism who are males, right? So I don't know. Can you talk to us about? I know that you haven't been to an IEP meeting, but when you went to the developmental specialist and you guys got the diagnosis, how did it feel like for you?
I didn't believe it at first. But like I said, going to her first BCI's thing, I think it was BCI, but when you go to the first little classroom, they teach them how to play with sand, with the water, and I was the only male there too. But then when her mother went, they go, is Tyree coming back? We like him. He's better. Because I get involved. But what was strange to me is she didn't like friends. But then her and another autistic kid were like buddies, a boy too. They were buddies. And I was, I learned about his father. We hung out. And to me, like I said, it was the coolest thing. I mean, her mother doesn't let me do the IEPs and nothing like that. She goes, I'm going to do that. That's my job. But he's right. It's all women. You don't see men do IEPs. You don't see men go to BCI. You don't see men do a lot of things with them. So with her, they call her my hip baby. So the majority of things she did through her development, I was a part of. I did the classes. I learned what I'm supposed to do, what I'm not supposed to do. I learned you're not supposed to yell at her. You're not supposed to, just different things. Like I said, like me, when she was growing up, I was, yeah, right. She could do it. How do you do it? I'll tell you to do it. And then she would blow up. And I'm like, okay, here we go. She's faking. She just wants attention.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, as you learn, you really can't do those things. You can't yell. You can't raise your voice. They like the headphones sometimes. Like if you turn something too loud, I bought her headphones or ear muffs she likes to put on. Like I said, it's a learning process. It's like going to school. You learn every day. Every time you deal with a child with autism, you learn every day something new, because for them it's something new for themselves, that you're just like, wow, she was unlike this yesterday, but today she's this and she doesn't like this. Oh yeah. Yeah, especially the the touching, and she got to touch like I was eating a sub the other day, and she rubbed her hand on it, and I'm like, Adi, why would you rub your hand on my sub?
Because she was playing snatches.
It's just they like touching everything. Like you gotta have a fur blanket. They just like touching everything. And you learn about that stuff though, because any regular person will be like, oh, she touched my sandwich, oh, she got germs on it. But me, I had to understand everything I eat, she touches. She just likes to touch it, Okay, I understand, I know, go ahead. But it's some people would take it like to the heart and go, I can't. But once you learn, you realize, there's a reason behind it. There's a reason behind her touching my food. There's a reason behind her asking 150 questions that probably go nowhere. But so
and the same one over and over again.
Oh, I hear it all the time. Man. Like she's
so. So I have another. Okay. So
sensory.
One of the biggest things, right, is that a lot of parents were talking about what it feels like to be in this pandemic and families accessing services and resources. What does that look like for you guys as parents? Are your children getting, the academic resources and services through the school district? Are they getting them through the outside providers like telehealth? Like, talk a little bit more about that. I'll start with you, Christian.
Yeah, so his school puts out a weekly plan. Now with him being on IEP, it's a little bit different. I mean, luckily, Christian doesn't have a problem engaging in schoolwork. Like he'll let you know clearly he does not like school at all. He feels like It's just a system of robots, all that. But he has no problem engaging in the work, and he puts in a moderate to best effort each time, I'd say. Um, his teachers have been wonderful in reaching out. Did we need anything? Does he need help connecting? Him and his teacher have each other's cell phone numbers. They link up twice a week. I mean, so they've been very involved. But Christian happens to be an involved student, so that helps him in that sense. Um, but yeah, so in terms of resources, in terms of everything, at least Framingham itself has been doing a great job of keeping the parents abreast with everything going on. I haven't had any negative experiences. Earlier on, like it seemed like there was a new email from the school every few days. But I started understanding because there were new emails from my job every single day. This was, people trying to adapt ever quickly to fast changing circumstances. So, I kind of been a bit more casual there in that space. So, just trying to be open-minded to the fact that this is something new for everybody, and at the same time knowing I'll speak up in a second if I feel like something's remiss with my son.
And how about you, T? How's it looking over there in your part?
Her school's very involved, so the only thing she worries about is getting a yellow or a red. So she's up on her work. I'm on a yellow right now, but she's on a green, so she's good. But she's always up. She loves her schoolwork. She loves school. She's very smart. The teachers love her. I think she had to switch from one BCI because they moved locations to a new one. Even the teachers cried when she left. So she loves school. She got her friends. They play on Roblox. She's very active. I mean, I think she did blow up once. She pointed at the teacher and she charged at the teacher, and it took 2 teachers to stop her. And she's little, but I mean, even out of school, she's still on a green, yellow, red thing. Like now I'm in yellow because I don't think I held the door open or something. It's because Daddy. No, I said I had to go to the bathroom. She goes, Daddy, you better hurry up and go to the bathroom. You don't want to yellow, because sometimes she has her accent. She gets embarrassed. What she does is she wakes up, changes her clothes, and hides it. And then when she finds out, she feels sad and embarrassed, and you gotta embrace her and tell her it's okay, and So I know she learned a lot of that in school. So and I know her teachers are very involved. They call like every day, every other day. They give her homework, which I think now that we're on the COVID, it's like games that she got to answer questions. She loves this stuff. So yeah, I think.
Yeah. Can I add in something really quick to that?
Of course, go ahead.
I want to add in the fact that both Tyree and our child is very lucky. I want to be clear about that, because let's be honest, most students do not have supportive no, there are supportive teachers. Let me not say it that way. What I will say is I do think teachers can do better jobs at understanding children in general, especially on the spectrum.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. I fed that. I fed what you just said, because you know why? You watch the videos of these kids getting hit and beat, and that kid that went on the roof in Dorchester and jumped and fell off, and they said, "How was the door?" He had autism. You do fear that. You're Christian. You're totally 100% correct. How you fear that every day, every time they go to school. You just think of the stories, and you're like, "Oh man, please don't let him hit her. Please don't let him hit her."
Yeah.
You get really afraid of stuff like that.
See, for us, we're having a little bit of a different experience, right? Because my son on the spectrum, he's actually in a more happy space at home. He I've always kind of told the district, I'm like, I don't think he belongs in inclusion, but I also don't think he belongs in a small classroom setting, because he is verbal, he has the skills. I think for him, you know, it's overwhelming to be in a larger classroom setting. And I find that he kind of shuts down, or in the few years, he's always had, or he's asked the teacher to keep his desk kind of like away from everyone. And so to him, he's like, I'm happy at home. I don't get yelled at all the time, at school. So we're having a little bit of a different experience here, but I appreciate it because he's not coming home super anxious anymore. He's not coming home unloading all the energy that he's been suppressing all day. So by the time he walks in my door, I'm like, woo, I'm gonna need you to chill because you're like on 1,000 and mommy's only at 500. So I need you to come down a few notches. You know what I mean? And so we're kind of processing that, and it's different. Our district has done fairly well in getting the services together. Kind of like what Christian says, there was constant emails. Everything was changing, like literally every few minutes to an hour, and the flooding of the emails. It was just a hot mess. Now I think we're a little bit more stable since Baker has said, "Hey, guess what? You guys are not going back to school until the fall." So I think there's a little bit more of less stressful and a little bit more like clarity in terms of where we're going from here. But when we started a little rocky. So I'm really pumped about that. But we're getting there, and he's happy at home. So let's see how this looks like for the fall. So I know, Christian, you kind of not unpacked. You brought up some things that I would kind of like to continue to talk about. So I want you to kind of hit on the points that you want us to talk about, because I think that those points are very important for us to talk about. So let's talk about, those key elements that are critical in this conversation.
So let me be clear. Which points are we talking about? I feel like I made a few. I just want to make sure.
So kind of like the role of, like, how do people, I don't even know how to explain it. It's, you're the dad, right? And in a special needs world, the most dominated fields are women. And what can we talk about in terms of, because like in my head is on 1,000, right? And I'm talking about telling my kid to come down, and I need to come down because I get really excited about conversations. So help me unpack the part about advocacy as a male, as someone who has a different story, who has experience navigating the criminal justice field. And what does that look like for your child, right? Like, what in this advocacy world, because we know that a lot of systems are super dated and they need kind of to be reimagined, recentered again, and kind of talking about our children with special needs and the they need in order to avoid them kind of going through things that we've gone through. Growing up in the inner city and living, being part of that environment. And how do we make sure our children who have disability, who are very kind of black and white children, that there's really no gray area with them, and kind of dealing with that. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'll try to bring that all together. So in terms of advocating as a man, or I guess I honestly do, I look at it in terms of advocating as a man, and is it that much different than advocating as a mom? I mean, no, I don't think that it's any different. I just think one is more, people are used to seeing one more than the other.
Yep.
So I think in the short run, which I think would help the long run, is just mentioning, in meetings, is dad, where is dad? Like actively using the word dad. Yeah. Because in so many meetings, I won't even hear the word father or dad. I'll hear mom and significant other. I'll hear mom and something, related to that, but not the word specifically dad or father. Yeah. So I think there could be a better concerted effort starting with the person themselves, but branching out into just using the word more when you're collecting information, when you're doing certain things. So I think in general, that needs to be addressed a little bit more, where I mean, for so long, the system is what it is. And we have to be the ones to kind of reintroduce things and help transform it. And I feel like that would be one of the ways to be able to do that. Is just to get people talking about dads in general. Just making dads popular again.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that.
true.
And
That
how
is the
about you?
truth.
Can you talk about it?
Yeah, my daughter, she does. She told me, said, "Daddy, I want to dance." I said, "You want to dance? What do you mean?" She goes, "I want to be a ballerina." I said, "You want a ballerina? Okay." So I found a dance class, and you go in there. It's all mothers. Fathers go and leave. They don't even sit around, nothing. So I'm just like, I'm excited. I'm watching her tap and dance, and I have nobody to grab and go. You didn't see what she just did? Like, she's one of the best. And I'm like, my mother calls, she goes, plie, plie. She does the plie. She does it. It's exciting, but when it's all mothers, yeah, it's kind of weird because they forgot they had a father. They're like, oh, you're a father. Oh, she has. Oh, yeah, she does have a father. I always thought it was two people, but I guess it is hard because normally, even my older daughter, she's a cheerleader. I'm the first cheerleading dad. They always laugh at me. Oh, here comes cheerleading dad. But I'm very involved in my kids. And my daughter, this one, the more she wants to do, the more I'm gonna let her try it. I'm not gonna be like, oh no, come on, you're gonna embarrass me. No, she's really good at it. I mean, only difference between her and other kids, you can't forget nothing. You forget a piece of the outfit, you forget a shoe, you forget a bow. Oh my gosh, she will not dance. She sits in the corner. She don't want to do anything, and I'm like, oh man, how did I forget this stuff? One time she went and she goes, "Daddy, I can dress myself." You sure? I'm positive. Okay. She goes. The whole thing was backwards, and I didn't. I thought it was the way you do it. I thought she knew what she was doing. But then, like I said, yeah, a lot of people do look at it like she got a father. It's normally mothers. You guys. I hope I'm glad you mothers are here because we're like, oh, sorry, there's a father back there. Yeah, they do kind of leave us out. He's right. We do have to reintroduce ourselves. They leave us way out.
But we're kind of reeling it back in terms of like in this society, right? When our kids, because one of the biggest things that I'm worried about, especially with all the stuff that's going on right now nationally, with the protesting, police brutality, and all that stuff, I always kind of wonder, our children, as I mentioned, their language is a little bit different, right? For us, one word has multiple meanings depending on how we say it, right? And how we convey our message. And our children are a little bit different, right? Because once they've learned something, they've learned that to a T. It's not going to change tomorrow. It's not going to change. What they've learned, they're going to learn it just like that. No changing of the word. That's how they. So, how do you guys feel, especially you, Christian, as a father who's navigated the system, and having our children as they grow up and they start encountering life as we know it, right? Things happen. They might be hanging out with a group of friends,
Yep.
and they might, one of their friends might be doing something that they shouldn't be doing, or acting like what their parents didn't teach them, and then our children are kind of sitting there like, and encountering systems. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Of course. So especially, dealing with some of these systems at a young age, and let's not forget, like, these systems start long before, for me personally, I was actually physically locked up. I mean, I was born into welfare, born into public school, you're born into these systems and fashioned by these systems in so many ways, to the point where you kind of incur so many mental injuries that they just build up on top of each other. Then you're kind of stuck trying to figure things out. And this may be way on top of a diagnosis of autism or PTSD or anything of that nature. So there's always that background noise that is constantly shaping us, even as we're trying to figure out ourselves. And, and it's hard for me as a parent to do it, but what I try to do, and what I try to remind parents, especially parents with special needs children, is It's every child that you wish you could be there 24/7 to save them from everything, but you can't. And that is a parent problem in general. that is that is not specific to anybody. But then I look at Christian, and when you talk about navigating the world, so automatically, because of some of my experiences, my conversations with him are different when certain things happen. Where, it could be something very innocent, and I'm like, well, I've known people who got in trouble for doing this, so for trouble for doing that, so there was a point. So there was one time where in school, and this was pretty recently, and so what I always used to worry about was bullying, and and that could be Christian. Christian's a big kid. He's heavy-handed. He's not good with his fine motor skills. I mean, there are so many things where it could be misinterpreted very easily, and I'm aware of that. And so with Christian, he was in school, and there's a program that they have in school where they actually give you school dollars depending on if you complete certain assignments. At the end of the week, you can buy yourself something to eat or something like that. And so a kid approached Christian, one of the kids in Christian's circle, and wanted Christian to buy with real money his school dollars. Now, so Christian comes home and he's like, Dad, do you think he's like, Dad, do you think? And so he would be, was he already 13? He may have been 12 at this time. But yeah, he was 12 at this time. But he came home and he was like, Dad, do you think I can get my allowance early? I'm like, why? He's like, well, I want to buy these things off my friend in school. And so as the story unraveled, it brought out one of those fears of, not just physical bullying, but I don't want my son to be taken advantage of.
Yes.
Like, I want to know if he goes into the store with cash, he's coming out with his proper change. And so that was a struggle for a little bit, and something that, I really am on him about in terms of, but I want to fill in some middle ground, and Tyree can chime in on this as well. But I want to make it clear when we talk about the fact that, it takes work being a good parent.
Yes.
So let's make that very clear. And I noticed a lot of the work came for me when I began dealing with the fact that I have feelings like everybody else. What is my stance on teaching my son feelings? Where do I want him to feel in certain things? And and so I want to bring that into the picture. There's always that constant. We are revolving as moms and dads all the time, all the time, while we try to navigate, all the systems. But, I want to bring that in, the fact that, me and Tyree on many levels have accepted to being open emotionally. And that's a big part of being a parent. Because, because, especially in times like these where, I don't want my son to just feel angry and rageful. I want him to know how to interpret that, and what does proper advocacy and protest look like? What's the best thing for the now and the long run? I mean, but teaching him things like that. And that's partly from being in those systems, just to partly how I'm trying to be as a dad in general.
My daughter, she's a little different. She's into, like you say, you send your son to the store, you make sure he gets the proper change. Well, my daughter comes to my house and takes all my change. So she's just now getting in the money. Like, she'll tell me, oh, Daddy, are you going to buy another game? I'm like, what do you mean buy a game, baby? I already have it. Do you not have money, Daddy? Can you not afford? I'm like, baby, we already have the game. So she started, but I used to worry about the bullying too. They come home with a little scratch, call the school. What's going on? Who touched my daughter? Why does she look like this? Who touched her? What's the little scratch? Oh, your daughter fell and bumped her head trying to be the star standing on the table. And you see it at home, you go, okay, I believe that. But it's very scary. It's scary because every time they come home with a little anything, it's just like, oh my gosh, what is this? All right, call the school. Somebody did something. Because my daughter at school, they call her the fashionista. She's 5, her son's 4. She dresses herself and she matches everything. I share the pictures, Jada. I tell you, she does that by herself. She got a closet full of shoes and shirts and pants. But yeah, when they go to school, you. I remember when you used to tell stories, and it scared me. I'm like, oh man, how I know this isn't happening.
Yeah.
Should we go get it early? I don't know. You as a father, you're just like, oh man. It took her mother to go, just relax. I'm like, no. She had a bruise yesterday. I know someone's not going to do something to her.
Mm.
You know, it's it's very scary. Like now to win COVID-19 is expensive. Because I got her the Nintendo Switch, and she wants. I think I got a coloring book games, puzzle games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to keep her educated. I'm not trying to buy her things that are gonna take her off. And like now she's in the what is it? What's that game they play? Roblox.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy, do you have your own account? Because I'm gonna play Roblox. Like, what do you know about accounts? And what do you know about? But it's just weird where they are, because you're like, you know what? I'm gonna keep playing puzzles. We're gonna play with slime. I watch the stuff you do, Jihad. So I'm like, you know what? We can make fizzy bubbles happen and make a lava lamp. We're gonna do that. She's not into none of that. She's older, I guess, because she hangs with her brothers, so she acts older. But like I said, a lot of what he was saying was a worry. Just like I said, it's bad enough the teachers don't recognize you. They don't even know who you are, even if you look like your kid. Can I help you, sir? I'm here for my daughter. Who's your daughter, Ariana? Oh, you're Ariana. Ariana has a okay. Yeah. He's right about a lot. Man. He's right about a lot. They do not recognize us at all. And what he said, yeah, the worry is like, even when I understand my mother's, I'm worried. I'm like, man, what if my mother doesn't understand? What if my mother hits her? What if my mother yells? I don't know. You kind of call every 5 minutes. Oh, what's she doing? She all right? She need me to come get her? I'll go get her. You get afraid.
That's true. So I'm thinking, right? Because one of the biggest fears for me and having boys is I also think that I know my son interprets language so different, right? And so I always fear like when he will be encountering an officer or someone in an authoritative figure, and they're trying to talk to him in whether it's in a hostile way or whatever. Because I don't know about you guys, but kind of I know T, you've touched upon it, Christian, you've talked about it. My son shuts down when you escalate. So when you're escalated, he is automatically like shut down. And there's two options, right? One option, he completely shuts down, where there's been instances where the school has called me and they're like, he's banging his head on the wall. And I'm like, what? Like, what happened? And I used to always ask, like, how did you talk to him when he might have made a mistake or he was acting out, misbehaving and doing things that we know is not socially accepted in school, or whatever the case may be. How did you address that in order for him to get to a point that he's banging his head on the wall? You know what I'm saying? So then I also kind of think about what would happen when he encounters outside of school and he's, again, in the community, being around other kids who may know that he does not have, a street smart, right? A street smart type of sense. And they can take advantage of his inability not to understand or perceive things the way that we perceive, or us understand that might be wrong to kind of throw a rock at a car while it's driving, right? So, bullying is big for me. And I think that, again, kind of bringing it back, is that he's happy where he is now, because I think that he's not around so much of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he's not dealing with multiple people, multiple personalities, multiple energies. Like, I feel like he's not sensory overload, as they call it. And I don't know if you guys kind of want to talk about what it's been like for the kids to be home. They're home. You kind of have to be the teacher. You're the special education provider. You're the speech pathologist. You're the occupational therapist. You're the ABA provider. what does that feel like for you guys as dads to be doing at this time to kind of step up in a role of one, again, that is a female dominant space, uh, and also kind of jumping into a teacher's full blown role? Like, talk about that. I don't know.
Um,
Anyone can go first.
I think the blessing comes. She's smart, so she teaches me the stuff. I
Ooh.
know it's weird to say, my 5-year-old's teach, but she does. She goes, Daddy, you don't know. You do it like this. You don't touch that. You go like this. And some things I do know, but I let her teach me just to see how much she knows. And, I guess I'm just blessed to have a daughter so smart and so edgy. I mean, she
Mhm.
loves this stuff. So, she teaches me so much. It's weird to say it as a father that my 5-year-old daughter is teaching me how to do things. But then what I learned, and I can teach her the stuff she doesn't know. And like I said, we teach each other, so to say. And it's fun to learn from her. Because again, like I said before, when you got a kid with autism, you watching TV and you're going, wow, look how that kid's acting. My kid got autism. It's not going to be like that, is it? But you're watching movies, so you're not watching reality. And you don't realize just because your kid has autism, they can be super smart. Like, oh, wow, man. I would have never guessed. I thought my kid was going to be different. So like I said, we teach each other with the school. And, her teacher calls and, and I always go, oh, Miss Meg's calling. You're gonna get a yellow. You gotta come on. You gotta hurry up. Let's do it. I don't want a yellow. Not a yellow, please. She hates not having a green. So it's super to me. I love the home education. I love learning. I love watching what she does. I know in school she loves school. I think she has 3 friends. She's always bringing up. Can they stay over? Can they stay over? I gotta ask their mother. But Dad, can he just stay over? She's so into having friends now. So you learn a lot from school, but then you learn a lot from just you and her being together at home and going through this lockdown thing, and understanding that you know like her playing Roblox. Like I said, oh, this one's online now. Daddy, get an account. What do you know about getting an account? I'm not getting an account to play this game with you and your friends. But she loves this stuff. So, like I said, homeschooling is great. I think it's wonderful. I think as parents, we get to learn what they learned already, and then what they're now learning. So I think it's really cool.
All right, Kristen, talk to us about what's going on in your house, and now you have to be the service provider, maybe a paraprofessional, right? Because you're like aiding the teacher or doing that. Talk to us on how that feels for you and little Christian, and what does that look like?
Well, first I want to acknowledge, that everybody's situation is drastically different. I want to be clear, like when we say autism, any one of us, we automatically know who we're thinking of, what we mean by that. But I want to acknowledge that it can mean many different things to parents and people who don't know about it alike. So I want to be clear about that. Like, I want to be clear, like, in so many ways, both of us are extremely lucky. And a lot of it's because of decisions we made, but we are lucky, and we know that there are people having harder times than we are.
Yeah.
So, I just want to make that clear. I do recognize that. I'll be quite honest. I am very lax with anything school related with Christian, especially right now, because the reality is every day, the media, everything's still pumping you full of fear, anxiety, all of these certain reasons that you should be feeling a certain way. And on top of all that, in the morning time, they want to say, but make sure you're there for your Zoom class. I mean, I'm just not, and I don't blame any one institution, but for me personally, not to mention, I work from home. So I have to be able to know how much time can I dedicate to schoolwork. Or now, thankfully, Christian's 13 and is very independent. So there's so many things that, I'll have to go check on him in his room, make sure he's still there. So he can easily disappear, and he's fine with that. So, but yes, so when it comes especially to the school piece, I do not sweat it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about him, you know, retaining some of the knowledge, all of that type of stuff. But for my son specifically, that's not one of his areas of needs.
That's definitely a
And
blessing.
just to bring up a point while we're talking about that, even when it comes to the IEP meetings, area of needs during COVID might look differently than area of needs. So just be aware that when you're advocating for certain needs, that make sure you're planning a month or two from now. We need to get another IEP as fast as possible to update it to the current time. Just something to think about as well.
And I'm glad you're talking about that, Christian, because it's true. I've opted, for me, I've opted out for an IEP meeting during the pandemic. I just said no. No. One, I don't want to overstress the teachers in the district at the time, because although I have my feelings, and sometimes as a mom, I feel like my head is all over the place, woman, and I'm like, oh, the district, they don't know what they're doing. Then I'm like, oh, Desi needs to get it together. And then sometimes I'm like, you know what, whatever, right? I opted out of doing the IEP meeting during the pandemic, because to me we'll take care of all of that when we go back to school, because things are going to change. I know that, kind of like you, Christian, I'm very lax on the home learning thing. There's days where I'm kind of feeling out the energy and seeing, what is going to trigger, some emotions and some back talk. And, I kind of have to pick and choose my battles. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of in a house, they're escalated. I'm escalated, not a good look for no one. Literally not for no one. And so the energy is going to be off. And, as we all know, if your energy is bad, our kids feel that. And their energy can feel that. And so I try to preserve whatever positive energy that we can keep in this household while we can, because there isn't so much that we can do. So again, for me, we opted out. Like I told the teachers, I'll see you guys in the fall. We'll figure this out when school starts back in the fall, because clearly there's going to be a lot of things that he needs to kind of relearn again, that I couldn't teach, because, I have twins. So while one is on a Zoom, the other one's supposed to be over here doing something else, or then one is on the Zoom, then the other one is over here. Then, I like to be at the table. I like to make sure that I'm monitoring what they're doing. And so I don't try to do other things, because I know, especially for my son on the spectrum, he's not a big fan of the Zoom. He doesn't like the video streaming type of thing. He doesn't mind pictures. He doesn't mind all of that. But he's not a video streaming type of person. So I'm constantly debating with him, hey, Papa, you have to turn on the video so the teacher knows that you're there and she can actually pay attention if you're paying attention. Because she's reading a book, she's gonna ask some questions, and you kind of have to answer the questions. So, literally this week we had one of the blowouts, and I'm like, you know what? He doesn't want a video stream. I don't want to force him to do that, because then he starts crying, he gets into the feelings, and to get him back in from that, it's not easy. Where my other son is able to kind of regroup fast, it takes him longer to kind of challenge those emotions and those feelings to kind of get back to his kind of self, And so, I mean, I know it's 8:00 and we can start closing out, but what can we leave out to the world during this time and this global pandemic? What is your advice as fathers to other fathers who may feel like they're not important? Because I think, for me, what I really wanted to do with this town hall and talk about the fathers is that, again, I feel like there's so many fathers out here, and we let the moms talk all the time. The moms are like the spokespersons, right? And I want fathers to understand that mothers like us, we see you. We love you. And there's nothing We need you to keep us sane up here, to parent our children and give us that balance that typically we don't have, especially now when we're in the house with the kids all day long. We need someone with a different perspective and understanding to calm us down. So, as we close out, what can you guys tell other fathers who are in the household, who are the breadwinners, or who are the primary caretakers and working from home? Like, what words of encouragement can you give our fathers in the community about parenting children with autism?
Well, I think first for me, I would think that, and this would be under the assumption that the fathers have accepted the diagnosis,
Mm,
because I think it looks differently for depending on how it's viewed. So if I'm talking to dads who have accepted the diagnosis,
mm,
I would, and you know, and once again, there's varying ages, varying degrees of on the spectrum. I mean, so everyone's in their own place. And so it's hard to put myself exactly in someone else's shoes, but in a general sense, I think when you do have those small moments, continue educating yourself about autism itself.
mm,
And something that I find is very helpful is Christian and I will talk about autism, but that's the level that me and him have for, because I put out a video a long time ago explaining the spectrum to him, and I think it's important that he understand some of these things, because in so many ways he's a walking advocate for it and doesn't really see that.
mhm, mhm.
So I try to keep that in mind. But in terms of dads, be easy on yourself.
Yeah.
Like, know how hard, like, and everyone's situation is different. So for some people these words could be meaningless. For some they can strike a chord. I get that. But don't stop learning your journey, because that's what's
Mhm.
ultimately going to make you a better parent. And I tell people all the time, like, like the last time I had time like this to be in the house all the time to think, I was when I was in prison. And I mean, being locked down in this pandemic is certainly not being locked down in prison, but
Mhm.
it's just the fact that there are moments right now for everybody, I think, to kind of reflect in a sense, if they can make the time to do it. But I always stress, continue dealing with yourself, and ultimately you'll be a better parent.
Mm. And I love that. Before I let Tyree go, I love the fact that you're acknowledging acceptance of the diagnosis, because that's very critical in
Mhm.
the father's role in this conversation. Because I know for me in our journey in our house, it took a while for dad to accept that. And there was, let me tell you, there was an issue that almost created a major barrier between us. That it was like, listen, this is what it is. This is what we have going on in this household. And although I grew up different, you grew up different, this little person here is different. And he is different, whether you like it or not. And let me tell you, it took us years, years before we basically was able to meet each other in the same lens of having a conversation and how to like literally support this little person.
Yep.
And it could have ruined our relationship. Let me just say it like that. And so please, talk to us.
You know why I enjoy you guys? Because you got boys. That's why my daughter's a real girl, for real. I mean, yesterday she came over, she stayed over, and I fell asleep. She goes, "Daddy, I'm going home." I said, "Baby, why? What did Daddy do?" "You're boring, Daddy. This is the party house and you're sleeping." I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" So, hey, being with a little girl to me is different, because even when I eat, my stomach might go up a little bit. "Daddy, are you pregnant? Are we gonna have another one?" Like, what are you talking about? So with me, it's different because I got a girl and she does a lot of girl stuff. Like you guys are talking about boy stuff, and I'm like, even when I listen to Christian talk, I'm like, yeah, I want to hear what his son does. This must be cool. But then I'm looking at her and she's nothing like that. She's the
My
total
son is
opposite.
13 and my son plays Roblox and he has his own account to do it.
Yep. Then they'll tell you, I got daddy, do you have an account too? Well, then you can't play with us. You got to get a
Sounds like a
Roblox account.
boss.
It is the funnest thing, though. Like I said, it's a joy to hear you guys talk about it. I've watched you. I even watched your sons play basketball, and the oldest one, I think he's taller than the other one if he's not the oldest. But he's, and then your brother coming in, and like I said, it's like it's just every day. Just expect something new. Really, just be ready for what's coming, and like he said, accepting. I think at the beginning, that's the hardest thing in the world to do is to accept. You're like, no, he'll be fine. She'll be fine. Oh, it's just the one. Oh, no, she'll get over it. But then once you accept it, it's dealing with it, living with it. You and your child spending time with. You're understanding it. You're understanding the emotions, the things they like, what they don't like. What you can and what you can't do, what sets them off, what makes them shut down, especially when they shut down. I mean, that's the worst because you're lost at that point. Like, okay, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? Why is my kid sitting in this corner? She won't move. And I got to call her mother and go, look, I think you got to get her. I don't know why she's sitting there. So it's all about it's all a learning experience. It's all, being a parent, mother, father. It's just being a parent to the child. And with autism, a lot of us have very, very, very small understanding. Mine is probably a medium. I don't fully, because they're saying, oh, when she gets older, it gets worse. I'm like, how can it get worse? What's worse? What does worse look like? So now that she's 5, I'm like, okay, she's going to be 6. What is she going to be like at 6? Once somebody tells you that, you look for every age that, okay, 6, what's she going to be like when she's 7? Worse than this. She's not a bad person now. So what do you mean worse? Like, what's going on? So, like I said, it's all a learning process. It's all an understanding thing. Sometimes you even have to look it up just to get a little more knowledge on it, to understand what's going to happen, what we got to look forward to, what's going to be different from 5 and like he's 13. That it's just a crazy experience. It's a roller coaster. I mean, the only way to keep your kid happy and to keep a happy house is to learn and to teach and to have him understand. Like he just said, he makes his son understand what autism is. I don't think my daughter's at an age yet she would even pay attention to me. But, I like how he says he teaches his son, and it kind of gives me a little bit. Because now I'm like, okay, I might have to steal this idea because when she gets older, she's going to have to understand because the other kids start to talk and they don't understand why they treat me like this. What am I doing different? To me, I'm normal, but they don't understand. So, it's like I said, it's a wonderful journey, but it's just a journey and it's just a learning process.
All right, guys. So it's 8:11. Say goodbye. I think I'm gonna read some of the comments because a lot of the mommies here are saying I'm gonna read some of the comments because I think they're pretty awesome. I don't know if you guys seen them pop up on the screen, but you guys are getting a lot of thank you for taking your time to share your perspective as fathers. There was another one that shared thank you that we barely hear from fathers and that this is amazing. Yes, yes, God bless you, gentlemen. Absolutely. We love it. And again, I think that this was exciting because we never ever hear from the fathers, and especially fathers in a different space. You got a father who navigated the system, then we have a father of a little girl. Again, we don't hear this. So I really, really, really want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for joining us here at Autism Sprinter and sharing the truth. I know, Christian, you have your platform, and I really, really would love for you to share your platform for people to find you and join your group and kind of hear more about you because I think you're very active on Facebook. And for those that, again, don't follow Christian, I've been following Christian for about over a year now. and he's captivated my mind because he has done videos of him even going to the Mass Ave area and teaching his son about things that I don't even think that we teach our kids that are not disabled, that don't have a disability, where he brought his son to a part of Boston, Massachusetts that has a group of individuals that are struggling, with drug addiction. And he wanted to bring his son to that space to actually teach him about that. And mind you, a child who's autistic. And so I think that he changed the game and how you actually teach those with autism, because I feel like for so long, especially, and again, this is not taken away from those families who have children that may not have that are not verbal, and they're totally different. So, and we empathize with you, we stand with you, we totally get it, but Christian has, again, kind of changed the way that we've actually teach our kids with disabilities in understanding the real world, not like that vague conversations that we have with our kids at dinner where we're like, no, honey, that person's just being mean. No, this person is struggling with mental health. This person is struggling with substance abuse, and actually breaking that down to the most person friendly conversation to his child. And so dude, I love you. Mad love for you.
Yeah, I think that's
Thank
pretty
you.
cool. I mean, I do that with my other kids, but that's pretty cool. My daughter's scared of people like that, though. My brother, he got sick, and she goes, "Daddy." She loves me, her uncle. Now that she texts him, because she texts now. She always texts me every morning. But the thing is, she seen her uncle and she was scared. And I said, "Baby, Randy's sick. Only thing we're scared of her is she sees things." Like my mother-in-law died. She goes, "Wella loves you. She loves you." And we're like, "What?" And then she'll go, "Oh, look, a quarter." I'm like, "Wait a minute. How you go from that to a quarter?" It's scary for us. But I mean, like I said, I like what he does. I mean, I do that with my regular kids. I think my father did that with me, bring me around, because he was on drugs, but to teach a kid that early, so they understand, because they're very, they're gullible. I mean, the other kids are doing it, they want to follow. My daughter just swore at her mother, and I got a phone call. She goes, "Adi says F me," and I'm like, "What? Why did she say that?" But this is because her brothers are saying stuff like that. Or they're watching that on television. So yeah, they're sponges. So he's correct. I mean, teaching them now, the stuff that's going on in the world, and these kids sponge that stuff up. Because a lot of these kids love YouTube. You never know that. My daughter's been telling me, "Daddy, are you going to jail?" I'm like, "Going to jail for what? The person on TV went to jail. Are you going to go to jail?" I'm like, "Man, I don't want to go there," because she thinks it's a cool place. I'm like, "I don't want to go there. Jail's not you do sometimes have to sit down and talk to them about what they watch. They don't understand it sometimes. And you do have to kind of, get them going, and so they understand that, okay, I don't want to go there, and Daddy, I don't want you to go there. And, I mean, this is just stuff she watches with her brothers. They're older than her. Like, so he's right about the stuff he's teaching his son. I mean, I think that's awesome, really. I think that's great that he's doing stuff like that.
So, Christian, tell us where to find you. I know you got a Facebook group, you got a page. Tell us, we're gonna get to you because I think people need to know that you do gospel rap. I'm just saying, like.
So yeah. So you can follow me on Facebook. My page is called The Parent Chronicles. The Parent Chronicles on Facebook.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up as soon as we get off of here. Yeah, I do music, and she's been waiting to go to the studio. That's it. She just told me the other day, "Daddy, I don't want to go to the studio today, but next time you go, I'm gonna go. I want to sing." I'm like, "All right." I wanted to do it. What I enjoy with her, I just want her to experience everything, but now as a regular kid, until she has to realize she's not regular. I mean, she doesn't act, to me, out of character. She acts like a regular kid. Compared to regular kids that I've seen that aren't up to speed with her, that are older than her, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, my kid's way more regular than yours." But then, like I said, behind the scenes, you just got those little, things you got to deal with. But the way she acts to me, I don't know. I think after you accept, you forget. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot you had that. I can't do certain things. The music can't be too loud. I can't yell. I can't talk like this. I gotta change my language. Now I gotta, even when I read the Bible, I mean, she's very. I know everybody watches my video and hey, hi, how you doing? Merry Christmas. She doesn't understand that I'm giving someone else attention. So she's very big on attention. That's why I keep looking out my door because she'll run in here. So I'm looking out. I'm going, where is she? What is she doing? So,
So T, I know that you do gospel rap, and I don't know if there's a YouTube channel that you have that people can find you, or if you have a Facebook page or a social media platform that people can follow you. Tell us where to find you.
Yeah, you can go to soundcloud.com/TGovan6, the number 6, or you can just go to my name, Tyree Govan, and SoundCloud /Tyree Govan. It's all Christian music. There's no swears. It's really just gospel. I'm really just preaching. I do it every morning at like 7, 8 o'clock. Whatever time I get up, I pray. I give people scriptures. I try to bless people. I try to deal with. I'm a mentor out here in Worcester. I'm a basketball coach. Evidently, I'm a cheerleading mom, a dance father, dance dad. That's what they call me, the dance dad. Dance dad's here. So, I understand what he was saying with the IEP. I've not been able to do that yet, but I got to be there for, like I said, her dance thing. When's the next dance class? When's the next this? So, make sure she has this next time. Bring her bag. I got to buy the new bag because she wants a new bag. She doesn't like the old one. So
I like her.
Yeah, you see every picture I got on there is me and her. I got 5 kids and none of them getting the pictures with me. It's only me and her. Every day Daddy, turn on the camera. So we got to take pictures. So like I said, TGovan6, soundcloud.com/TGovan6. And it's all Christian music. I don't do worldly music myself. I've been a Christian for about 7 years. My daughter, she loves church, so she's pretty grounded on that. But like I said, sometimes she does fall into her brothers who they're older, 13 and 12, and she doesn't understand what cursing is yet. So we gotta correct her. We gotta. Our mother goes, ooh, you better pray to what is it? Papa Piti Pay or something. It comes and then she prays for a minute and then she realizes, okay, I'm not supposed to talk like this. But she's, like I said, they're sponges. But I mean, if you look at it, like I said, these kids are normal. When I watch your kids, I even tell them, I'm like, they don't have it. There's no way. This kid is good in basketball. There's not a way in the freaking world. The other one is smart. He's always building stuff. I'm like, there's no way,
Yeah, they're different.
Yeah, but you don't care. But you don't see what people say. People say things about autism that'll make you feel bad. Like, wow. I know there's autistic kids that live in different spectrums. You got the ones that don't talk. You got the ones that doubt. That's why I say it, and I'm going to say it before we go off. God bless us, man. Really. God bless us with wonderful children that are so close to. I mean, like I said, Jahada, with you, watching you for years, you couldn't tell me they did. I wouldn't believe you. He plays basketball. He built the lava lamp, and I'm not gonna lie, I felt stupid like that. I never built the lava lamp. I kind of want to do that now. I want to go buy the sand she bought and build a lava lamp. So I see, I think like he said, like Christian said, once you accept, I mean, you just see the awesomeness in kids, man. Like the stuff that they break through, and you're just like, wow, I thought it was going to be like this. I blamed everybody because I thought this kid wasn't going to be able to do these things. It's the coolest thing in the world. I'm waiting to watch Christian's son now. Believe me, I'm very like, wait a minute, I want to see this dude because he seems cool. He seems really cool.
Follow each other because I think you guys.
No, I'm gonna. He just put up the page and everything. I'm gonna go on there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I watch other kids and even going to the BCI, you see other kids. There's some cool kids in there,
Mhm.
and I'm like, wait a minute, not this kid. She said, oh yeah, they got no. That kid is cool. There's no way I'm following him. You know, there's some cool kids, man. God is wonderful for these kids. Even the ones that are sometimes off do cool things, and it's just like that was kind of cool though. He was a little off, but I liked it. You know, you start to accept. So when you, like I said, when you're miseducated and you think this is what it's gonna be,
Yeah.
and you meet these kids. Like I said, I met one that didn't speak. He was the coolest kid in the world, though.
Yep.
Meaning he got up, he walked, the whole neighborhood knows him. But he walks around the neighborhood and he knows the lady's house he was gonna go to, and then they bring him back home. But I thought he was cool. I hung out with him for hours, and I was like, "This is a cool kid, though. He may not talk to me, but he just seemed like a cool kid, man." Like I said, when he said accepting, that is a major part of everything about parenting a kid with a disability. Is just accepting the fact that, okay, my kid has this thing that's gonna happen, and I just gotta, you know, I gotta be a part of it. You know, you can't look down on it. You can't frown on it. You can't blame nobody. You can't blame the kid. You just gotta roll with it. You roll with the punches. Every time something changes, you gotta change with it. It's just like life. You change with life. As life comes, you change. Like Jihadi, you know, we grew up in a bad area. Then growing up, we became something different. Like what you was doing in Randolph, I was sharing that every day. I was like, I don't know what she's running for, but we gotta elect her. I didn't know what you was doing. When you went to the White House, I was like, I called my brother, like, man, Heidi's in the White House. Heidi's in the White House. Heidi's in the White House.
Always starting trouble, you know, disrupting the narrative, right? Because you guys have both talked about it, where there is what the media and people share about those with autism, which is not necessarily true, and kind of that's why I love what Christian does, and that's why I love what you do. And what we do is that we show a different narrative, that we're treating our children no different than you would treat anyone else. And you're going to teach them the same things you would teach other people. And again, this is not to disregard those in a different place on the autism spectrum, but you know, my perspective in showing so much of us on Facebook is to say that yeah, he might be on a spectrum, but he's also an individual, and he loves basketball, you know, and he loves dinosaurs. Like, try to have a debate with him on dinosaurs, you're losing, because homeboy knows everything about dinosaurs, right? And sharks, absolutely love sharks, right? And yes, and he will watch the same video over and over and over again until another person brings out another video of the same thing, and he watches that video over and over again. So he like literally absorbs all of that, where he becomes like a little expert, you know?
Yeah.
Hi.
Don't play Baby Shark's remix. She didn't like it at all. They don't like the remix. They would turn that down quick. I told my daughter, I said, baby, want to hear the remix? I put it on, turn it off, Daddy. I don't want to hear it. Put the real Baby Shark. So, like I said, it's a wonderful experience. I think parents that deal with kids with disabilities, it's a blessing. I mean, just to deal with it and know how to deal with it, that's a blessing, man. Because there are a lot of parents that do not know how to deal with their disabled child, whether it be autism, whether it be some kind of handicap. I mean, it becomes hard for them, and they just like I know somebody put up, you know, the lady that drowned her kid. Like, where do you grow a heart like that? You know, just that kid being a part of you somehow, some way. I mean, I would think that a parent wants to know, how do I deal with this situation? How do I make it better for me that I don't see the handicap in the kid's situation? I mean, you know, I know it's a hard thing, but like I said, you just roll with it like you roll with life. Is not wonderful every day. We don't wake up to the sunshine all the time. You know, and our kids, even when they're normal, you definitely don't wake up to the sunshine every time. So, like I said, with my daughter, I look at her like her brothers and sisters. I mean, her brothers, man, and her sister. They all act the same to me. You know, she follows them, so they all act the same. Oh, except she tells, but whatever. That's what she gets. That's what she can get a Skittle. She tells, Daddy, do you know what Jaden did? I was like, Jaden's staying at the house. He's not over there. Well, I think he went my account. I'm like, oh boy.
So with
Go
that
pack the
being
Skittle.
said, kind of like what he said, they're different, they're not less. So we're gonna close out again, gentlemen. I know Father's Day Sunday, so happy Father's Day.
When's Father's Day?
Thank you.
Sunday.
When?
Isn't it Sunday? It's Sunday, right?
COVID. I don't even know what day it is
I
now.
don't know.
No, you is not lying.
I think it was like a Sunday. I thought it was like Thursday. This COVID
Yeah,
thing
it
took
is.
everything away from me. I don't even look at the time anymore. I'm just, you know what? You're here every day. You just see it like it's another day.
It feels like that every day. So thank you, gentlemen. Again,
All right.
absolutely love you guys.
All right. Thank you. This is
Guys,
great.
I'm going to drop their links to the SoundCloud and the Facebook pages and groups to Find Christian, so that you guys could definitely follow the movement. These men are amazing. And again, I appreciate you guys. You guys have a blessed night. And, you know, I look forward to having another conversation with you guys in the future.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Have a good night, guys.
Absolutely.
All right, Christian, I'll be following you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Same here.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
It's over now.